The story begins in a secret government lab in Korea where scientists were conducting horrific experiments on dogs so that they could be used to fight in the youth. The secret project was called Project Silence. Meanwhile, in the Department of Security, Secretary Young gave Deputy Director Chuck Ho some money as a thank you because Cha had helped him in the election campaign. Later, when Cha returned home, he saw that his daughter was packing her things because she was going to study in another country. Well, then in the evening, he was taking them to the airport, so he stopped at a gas station. After filling the tank, he gave his money to a worker named Jang, but he said that he had to give cash because the machine was broken. Now Jang saw that it was the master's pass, so he understood that it was a tow truck driver who wanted to extort money from him by pretending to be a worker. Jang said that there was nothing like that, but the master left without giving the money. He said that he would give the money to the owner of the gas station himself later. After a while, they reached a bridge outside the city in their car. This bridge was covered with snow, where all the drivers were driving calmly. But a man in a yellow car was driving like a madman and was also recording for social media. Apart from that, there was another mysterious car with a cage behind it, which was also driving fast, so they saved themselves from hitting it as soon as they knew. As soon as that car moved forward, why did they see a desperate dog in the cage? On the other side, there was another car on the same bridge in which some soldiers were carrying Dr. Young. In the meantime, that yellow car moved so fast that it was about to hit the car in front, but its driver suddenly turned the car and it spun around and swept the middle of the road. Because of this, the bus was coming from behind. It also had to give a sudden briefing, but sometimes another car hit the yellow car and then one after another. The cars kept hitting each other. Drivers, they tried to stop or turn the cars, but due to the fog, everyone kept bumping into each other. Some people left their cars to save their lives. After that, a big truck came there, which was coming out from the side of the bus, but suddenly it fell on the other side and crushed the cars there. There was a commotion, and people got out of their cars and started running. Soon, a police car came there from the other lane, and it also crashed into the crane. Meanwhile, the owner of the gas station was scolding Joe because he never took money from the trick. They had heard the news of the accidents on the bridge and the accident on the radio. So Joe calculated that he must still be stuck there. Now Joe took his dog Judy with him and went out to find him. Meanwhile, Cha and Kim Man were still walking on the other lane on the bridge, and there was a pile of cars that had had accidents. The car with the cage got out easily, but the tire of Dr. Young's car got stuck in the mud, and it suddenly overturned. One of its tires came off and went straight to Chan's car, which their car also went into the divider, and a car full of dogs collided with a fallen truck, but the car with the cage stopped before it could. Then the driver got out and looked at the cage and said, "Is everything okay? Why are you here?" I told Chan that he should go to the mountains and help the people. Parcha told him to stay in the car and went out himself. The soldiers took him out of the broken car here alive, but he was complaining about the dogs. Now Chaya stayed with them, and the soldiers ran to see the cage, but the cage was already open. Seeing that it was open like this and the driver's body was lying inside, the captain ordered all the phone signals on the Tarrant Bridge to be turned off. While leading Chae-young to his car, he thought of calling someone for help, but suddenly the signal went off, and the same thing happened to the rest of the people on the bridge. Soon, I realized why I wasn't in the car. Actually, why did I say that? Chae-young followed the strange sound and reached a dangerous dog named A9, who was banging his head on the fence for some reason. I tried to calm him down by giving him some food, and immediately I realized why he pushed him away and A9 ran away. Meanwhile, the soldiers told Tarrant Young that all the dogs had run away, so he had to activate the control program. Now, Chae-young activated a software on his laptop, after which the soldiers told him that this helicopter was coming to help them. Chae-young also heard the sound of the helicopter, but he was thinking that why did the helicopter come here in such a fog? Now he told the soldiers that he was from the Department of Security, after which he asked the reason for the phone signal being cut off, and the soldiers told him to stay away from this matter. Then Ja tried to snatch a soldier's radio in anger, but soon the soldiers handcuffed him to the steering wheel. At the same time, Xiang had activated the program in his car, in which the information of all the dogs was being shown. Then suddenly all the dogs started running back at full speed, and the soldiers put on their helmets. Actually, all the dogs had a chip in their minds. That is, Young could control them through his program. These dogs were very dangerous, and soon they attacked the soldiers fiercely. Then John saw that E9 was standing in her place, but he could not understand why the command did not affect her. Meanwhile, the soldiers tried their best to control the dogs, and finally they entered the cage so that the dogs would also follow them. Something like this happened, and finally Young stopped the program so that the dogs would calm down again. After a while, a military helicopter arrived, some of which were soldiers. By now, Joe had reached the bridge in his truck, and upon seeing the soldiers, his dog Joe ran towards him, which made Joe follow him. Meanwhile, Johnny Yance asked again what was going on. Priyan shouted and asked him to find out about his many projects. Silence. Now the dogs were being shifted to a new cage, and Young was controlling all this with his program. Suddenly, his eyes fell on Jody. Meanwhile, Jody wanted to go to Jody, but the soldiers stopped him. Then, why did they suddenly meet there and pick up the top? A soldier tried to stop him, but Chow managed to save him. At that moment, a soldier saw a chip on the ground and realized that E9 was shaking her head and taking out the chip. Meanwhile, the helicopter picked up a cage full of dogs, but only then did the pilot see that E9 was sitting on top of the cage. It suddenly jumped and attacked the pilot, which caused the cage to lose its balance and fall back onto the bridge. Then the pilot tried to shoot the E9, but the E9 was extremely fast and mercilessly killed the pilot in the chair. You were going to sleep. You jumped out in time. The helicopter crashed and exploded, causing all the dogs to bark like mad. Finally, they broke the cage again and came out. They became wild in anger and started attacking the cars and people there. There was chaos because of the bodies falling everywhere. A dog tried to attack Young. Young threw his laptop at him. Then the dog started pulling his pants. Cha-Chan saved Young's life just in time. Soon, a soldier rushed over and shot the dog, but then another dog pounced on him and finished him off. Meanwhile, Chan saw that another dog was about to attack them, so he took Joe and Judy and left.